What's up, world? We are back with another edition of Marvelous Talking. Man, we've been gone. We've been away for a minute. You know, the holidays and everything that was going on. But we back, man. It's your boy. It's me, myself, and Big G. Big G, how you doing, man?
Man, what's cracking, man? It's been a minute since we got this marvelous talk in, but I'm ready to go, man, because we got so much stuff coming up that I'm just so hyped for. I'm busting with just anticipation and ready to get it in.
Man, I'm telling you, it's just so much. But you know how we do, man. Before we get into this, we're going to get into this. And like I said, man, we are back. After, like I said, it's been a hiatus, man. We took some time off, man. We regrouped, we got some things together here, man. And definitely we've had a whole bunch of movies come out, man. We had Spider-Man, No Way Home come out during the time that we had been off of Marvelous. And I'm gonna tell you, man, I'm gonna be honest with you, Big G. It lived up to the hype.
What,
It
Spider
definitely
Man?
lived up. Spider-Man
Oh yeah.
lived up to the hype. Was there anything I gotta ask you? Was there anything that you didn't see that you wanted to see from Spider-Man No Way Home?
Nah, the reason why I didn't wasn't worried about it is because it closed right. When they showed the cracking of the multiverse and you could see shadows of different people, because you got to remember the spell was anybody who knew who Peter Parker was, or anybody that knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. It was a twofold spell. So that's why you saw all those different characters and all whatever else in the background. I want to say that I was hyped to see the shadow cast of certain villains like Rhino was in there, and a couple other ones that I Craven the Hunter. I was like, yeah, we gonna get those guys, but it ended the right way because once again, Kevin Feige, being who Kevin Feige is, fixed the whole Fox dilemma with the backdrop characters of Spider-Man and showed that those characters do exist in a different or parallel universe, but it's not the MCU Spider-Man. So I was hyped about, what the way they did the movie just in general. To me, I already told you off camera, it's a top 3 Marvel movie ever for me. You know.
Yeah, I believe so, man. I mean, the gist of the matter is when you really start to think about um the Marvel, and I told you this before when we were talking about it, and we were talking about the movie before it actually came out. I said it's either a hit or a miss. I said,
Right.
man, they either gonna hit real big or they're gonna miss real big. And I should have known Kevin Feige's not gonna miss. You know what I mean? He just doesn't miss. And I think that if to answer my own question, if there was anything that I wanted to see that I didn't see, Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Miles Morales would have made it that much better. But the fact that Jamie Foxx made mention of Miles Morales in the show was excellent. It was
Yeah.
excellent.
It was a setup too, like you said, Jamie Foxx did, but they have to leave themselves open, man. They're not, Kevin Feige's always slow creeping. So he's just going to give you a little bit or a little bit here, a little bit there to plant Easter eggs to let you know it's coming. So we know for sure we're going to get Spider-Gwen. We know for sure we're going to get Miles Morales. We know those characters are coming. But for him to jam all that in one movie, it wouldn't have made sense. But, however, I will say that it's Kevin Feige said something key way before the movie came out. He said that Spider-Man No Way Home would tie directly into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Just like he said, WandaVision would tie directly into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So, and he also said there would be elements of Loki that would tie directly into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So you're seeing all this stuff come into play, which is going to have, for in my estimation, that Doctor Strange movie off the hook, man.
Yeah,
you're going to see stuff you've never seen. You know,
I think we're going to get a lot of good stuff in Doctor Strange. But before jumping ahead, I love the fact that we had the tie-in of Daredevil in Spider-Man, yes, and then in Hawkeye. So in Hawkeye, we had the tie-in of Daredevil as well, and it just, to me, man, wow, it was like wow. I mean, I was like, okay, we needed this, and Hawkeye was actually better than I expected.
Oh yeah,
what do you think? What do you think, Big G?
It was. At first, I was skeptical because the idea of having Hawkeye run his own series or own show, I was like, how in depth can you actually get with that character? I mean, you could talk about the swordsman and him being from the circus, and yeah, you could bring in Kate Bishop and stuff like that, but how in depth could you get it? But by them tying in Hell's Kitchen, Kingpin, Echo, all of that tied into the show, oh man, that gave depth for characters that you know were going through with Phase 4 and possibly Phase 5. So I gave it an 8 out of 10 after I reviewed it and watched it all, which at first I was thinking, man, it might be a 6 or a 7. But I definitely gave maybe an 8 with an 8+ out of 10 in review of all the shows for Hawkeye.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was I felt like they could have ended it a lot better though. I felt like they could have ended Hawkeye a lot better and took Hawkeye to a place, you know, ending wise, it would have been better. But man, when I say, just like you said, man, Echo, the swordsman, you know, definitely her mother. Then you got Kate Bishop.
Yeah,
then,
the mother was Madam Mask, and then his wife was definitely a shield agent. She was a shield agent, which is Mockingbird. So you know, all of that has big implications.
And then Kingpin. So you got everybody in this one show, and I thought it was done brilliantly. Now I will say this: that was the worst end credit scene that we've ever seen in any Marvel universe show. It was the worst one. It was. I mean, Big G, come on, man. It was bad.
Yeah, I mean, because the reason why is because it wasn't a cliffhanger. What Kevin Feige has traditionally done with Marvel stuff is that his end credit scenes spin off into something completely different. You know, like even in if you go back and watch Black Widow's end credit scene would have meant so much more if it would have came out when the time it was supposed to, because we got introduced to Val from there, but we already knew who Val was from the Captain America series.
Right.
So Kevin Feige's post-credit schemes have spin-offs that you can't even understand or begin to understand in the depth of it. So the issue was, in this one, we already knew what was going to happen as far as the end credits scene, or, you know, we had been introduced to the characters and the whole depth and concept of what happened in end credit. So yeah, as far as the end credit, he didn't give us too much. But once again, that's Kevin Feige. He's slow rolling. You know, he's got to do that, you know, because if not, I mean, he can mash the gas and lose everybody. But what he's doing is building character depth and also building fan depth, because there's so many people that watch Marvel stuff that don't really know what's what, you know.
That's important. I think what the end thing that you just said, the fan depth, super important. That's a good point, G. That's a good point, man. So, you know, we had a Hawkeye, which I thought, and this is the other thing about Hawkeye. They captured the essence of Christmas. They captured the whole thing. They captured the Christmas spirit, and it was very well done, except for the last episode. You know, like I said, the ending of the last episode was something else.
You didn't like the Arrow? I mean, I like the Arrow thing that he did by bringing all the different Marvel aspects into it. Tony Stark and Hank Pym, and he shrunk them dudes down. That was a trip, man. You know, to know that he could make arrows like that.
I can do this all day. I could have dealt with that. I could have done without. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. The musical, of course.
I could have done without that. That was bad.
But you know what though? You got to remember, Kevin Feige's also done sold the idea that they're going to do Christmas stuff every year. So this year coming out, we got 2 Christmas specials.
We're going to talk about it. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. You got the list, and we're going to go ahead and go over that. But man, let's jump into what's new. You know what I'm saying? Definitely what's new. We got the Moonlight trailer.
Yeah.
So
let's Moonlight. It's Moon Knight, man.
Moon Knight. Moon Knight. Let's talk about Moon Knight, man, because you know this is a lesser known character for those who didn't dig too deep into Marvel, right? Mm-hmm. The only thing I knew is that he had multiple personalities, right? Mm-hmm. And that he loved to beat people to a pulp. That was the only thing I knew about Moon Knight, right? Mm-hmm. But we're going to go to our resident comic book head, and definitely we're going to let you tell us a little bit about Moon Knight, man. Talk. Let's get into it.
You know, Moon Knight, okay, so for you guys that don't know, Moon Knight apparently was supposed to be a spinoff to factor in DC's Batman and try to run a Marvel version of Batman. But the character ended up taking up so much depth and changing that it became its own character, which now is, as far as the comics is concerned, is almost a backbone to the comics, right? Moon Knight has what's called distracted personality disorder or identity disorder, right? And so what he does is he doesn't really know when he's the 3 different people. So there's Mark Spector, who's a mercenary, and I can talk a little bit about that. There's Steve Grace, who's a cab driver that actually works in Hell's Kitchen in New York City. And then there's Jake Lockley, who's a 1% millionaire that runs around with T'Challa and Tony Stark and all them. He made himself into be like a super duper millionaire. So his personality disorder allows him to slip in and out of different parts of the MCU that makes him an in-depth character. He's also the first Jewish character, first Jewish hero that's in the MCU. So, you know, that identified with a lot of people because, you know, nowadays people are trying to reach out and touch characters that look like them, sound like them, and act like them. So by him being a Jewish hero is something too. It's something sweet too. Also, he was a mercenary, you know, and a lot of folks don't know that he was a mercenary and a Marine that got kicked out of the Marine, which eventually became a CIA agent, which is a gun for hire, which I believe that MCU is going to bring in the heroes for hire aspect or paint him as a SHIELD agent that went rogue, right? So that's just like the basic stuff. You know, I can talk in depth more about like who his villains are or where he ties to. But the big thing is that Moon Knight is tied to the Sons of Midnight. And the Sons of Midnight, if you saw Eternals, you know, that was Blade talking to Black Knight at the end. And Moon Knight is definitely a Sons of Midnight tied with Doctor Strange, Werewolf by Night, you know.
Who are the Sons of Midnight? Give us that. Why is that so big, Big G?
Okay, so the Sons of Midnight, right, is a spinoff group like the Defenders, like the Illuminati, like the West Coast Avengers. They are a mercenary group that sits in the back and they're tied to a bunch of different groups, but come together on certain missions to fight certain villains. So, like I was mentioning, Blade, Ghost Rider, Black Knight, Doctor Strange. These are all people that are tied.
So wait. By Night. So you're saying Black Knight is a part of the Sons of Midnight?
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's one of the founding members of the Sons of Midnight, right?
Oh wow.
Yeah. Okay. So what they do, like the big bads that they fight, I'll give you one of them is Dracula, right? And so the whole Phase 4, if you ain't picked up on it by now, it's going in 2 different aspects. It's wrapped around the Darkhold, which is the book that Wanda Maximoff had that she took from Agatha Harkness, or it's going out in space to bring the space characters back to Earth. That's what Eternals was about. There's a little subplot where you're talking about Hell's Kitchen and those type Earthbound or Earth-based characters. So it's got 3 different things going on, but 2 main ones. So the Marvel has went dark in Phase 4. And the reason why they did that is because you can't go dark unless you bring in an anti-hero. And so the big anti-heroes that's coming, we already got one on my boy, the Hulk. Hulk is really an anti-hero. But there's a couple of reveals anti-heroes that's coming, like Namor and whatnot. So in order for them to have dark characters or anti-heroes, they have to have dark people that fight against the evil or the bad stuff. And so the Sons of Midnight are huge in that realm.
Okay, so yeah. All right, so now you got that here on Marvelous, man. The Sons of Midnight. And you heard who they are. So one more time, G, for the people who are just coming in. Sons of Midnight are...
There's actually 37 different members of them, but the main ones are Ghost Rider, Black Knight, Moon Knight, Doctor Strange, Blade. The team changes off and on, but those 5 are always, when they come together as the Sons of Midnight, they add characters or take away, but it's normally those 5 that are part of the Sons of Midnight.
So do you think on Moon Knight that we're gonna get hints to Blade? Are we gonna get a Blade reveal? What do you think?
Well, so knowing what I know about what happened in the rabbit hole, they changed the end credit scenes for Eternals, and you were supposed to have an on-screen reveal of Blade. So my thinking is the reason they cut it out is so that way you can have reference to the character for Moon Knight. Now, he might not be all the way in the scene. He might be in the backdrop and you see a shadow in his eyes and all whatever else. But there's no doubt by the end of Moon Knight, Blade is going to be tied to it. There's no doubt in my mind.
So, all right, and this is a sidebar. You couldn't make Wesley Whistler. I mean, come on, man. He couldn't be Whistler. You give us something with Wesley, man. I don't understand, man.
Why the air in the rabbit hole is rough. And trust and believe, I'm not going to ruin it, but you're going to see Wesley Snipes real soon.
That's what I want to do. That's what I need. I got to see Wesley and Blade some kind of way. I mean, I think he would have been an awesome Whistler.
Let me just ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
If there's different Spider-Man that exist in different universes, and there's a Venom that came to our universe, didn't know nothing about Spider-Man, and left a piece of his body or a piece of the symbiote there,
mm-hmm.
You don't think that Kevin Feige might be doing something real tough in Doctor Strange in the multiverse of madness, where all the rest of those strings, like the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, the Blade, the previous titles that was made, and he does something? I ain't ruining it, but I'm telling you, I done been in the rabbit hole. I done read plot leaks and I done seen some stuff.
I have heard, and this is common knowledge. A lot of people who have seen pre-screeners, and those pre-screeners, they're saying that there is a big character reveal inside of there. So, I mean, you know, I would love it. Not so much this Tom Cruise as Iron Man, not so much that, you know, but I would love to see Wesley. I would love to see Wesley. I mean, he meant so much to the franchise. I mean, if it wasn't for the Blade series, the Marvel franchise would not exist as it does.
Yeah, I mean, when you really think about it, carrying the movies, the X-Men series did one thing, but Nicolas Cage and Wesley Snipes really sold people on Marvel. If you really go back and look and really pay attention, those two actors did a great job, man, with Ghost Rider and Blade.
Okay, all right. When I see Nicolas Cage, I just see the same version of him in every movie, man. I see Nicolas Cage face off in Ghost Rider. So I don't really see like the diverse person, but Wesley could play all those different characters, and he really embodied Blade. He really did. I'm not so excited to see Mahershala. I keep saying that. Everybody around me know I'm not excited to see Mahershala.
I'm hyped.
Yeah, I'm just not excited. I'm not excited. But getting back to Moon Knight, I keep calling Moonlight. Getting back to Moon Knight, you know, definitely this is a series that is going to start when, Big G?
The actual release date for the series is May 30th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's when we're going to get our first.
No, I'm sorry. March 30th. May 30th is the release of Doctor Strange.
March 30th. That's when we're going to get our first. Now, do we have any other? Let's get to the scheduling here. Do we have any other Marvel shows that are going to show up before that March date?
Well, so and you know, in Japan or in the eastern part of the planet, they get a lot of stuff way before we do. So they put an official timeline out, but they didn't give dates. They just showed the sequence of what stuff is being released for this year. So we know for sure that we're going to get Moon Knight. We know for sure we're going to get She-Hulk. We know for sure we're going to get I Am Groot. We know for sure we're going to get Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. And we know for sure we're going to get Miss Marvel this year. And now they just announced like a couple of hours ago that Werewolf by Night will be a Christmas special, a 3-part series that they're going to run between November and Christmas. So Werewolf by Night is only going to be 3 parts. It's not animated. So it's only going to be 3 shows that they're going to run between between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So we know as far as shows is concerned. As far as movies are concerned, they've already said that it's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Thor: Love and Thunder, Ant-Man Quantumania, and Guardians of the Galaxy 4. So
now
you
that's
know,
what I'm gonna tell you. I'm excited
3,
about
Guardians
Ant-Man.
of the Galaxy 3. I said 4.
Yeah,
Guardians
3.
of the Galaxy 3. Yeah.
I'm excited about Ant-Man Quantumania because we got Kang. You know what I'm saying? We got Kang, man.
You sure we got Kang?
We got Kang. We got Kang the Conqueror and Ant-Man. We got it. You know what I'm saying?
I think Ant-Man is going to show the Council of Kangs. I believe that.
Show the Council of Kangs?
I think it's going to show the Council of Kangs.
I'm gonna be real with you though, G. It's still Kang because you got the lesser versions of Kang, but then you got the big bad Kang, and Kang is, you know, he's the man. I think he is. I don't believe he is the big bad for this dispensation. I just think he is one of them.
I think he's one of them.
Yeah, he's one of them. You know, if you ask me, I think all roads point to Galactus. But hey, I could be wrong. But
he's one of them. I believe he's one of them too. But
I feel like
you got to remember, we're headed to Secret Wars. So you got to introduce a whole bunch of villains to get and have a whole bunch of heroes. So yeah, he's one of them. And that, once again, it goes back to what Mr. Feige has been talking about and doing, man. What he's building is a 30-year run, right? You know, I'd look for us to be like, you know, close to 80, still being around and running a show like Marvelous, talking about what Kevin Feige did in the early 2000s. You know
what he did in 2020.
Right.
I was there when in 2020 when he did. But no, seriously, man. Right. So I'm looking back and I'm starting to just kind of quantify what I'm seeing in this next move of Marvel, right? We got it started with we got Spider-Man, right? Yep. And that was Far From Home. Then we got WandaVision. Then we turned right back around and we got Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which came to be Captain America and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Then we got
Loki.
Black Widow.
Black Widow, yeah. Black Widow, then Loki.
Then you got Black Widow, then we got Loki. And then after Loki, we got What If, which is canon. And everybody's, you have to remember, I keep telling everybody, I was at the barbershop the other day and they were asking me about Marvel. And I was telling them, hey, y'all are going to be seriously lost in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness if you don't go back and watch What If.
Right.
And they're like, it's a cartoon. Listen, Marvelous Talk listeners, I'm telling you, go back, watch Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of, watch What If so that you can get ready for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. You got to have it. It's got to happen.
In the trailer, they've already shown 4 things that was in what was in What If in the trailer. The trailer wasn't but 2 minutes and 17 seconds long. They've already shown 4 things that actually happened in What If in the trailer. So how could it not be canon? You know, there's some stuff you're going to see in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness that's going to blow your mind, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's going to blow you because they've already People don't understand the depth of the multiverse, right? That's a whole nother show we're gonna have to talk about, because there's so much you have to understand about the multiverse to get what's actually going on in Marvel. They just pushed it in a nice little package called What If, and they couldn't get enough of it, so they had to make a season 2 that's coming out in 2023.
And you have to think about this: multi. It means many, right?
Right.
So you're gonna have to understand that you're gonna see different dispensations of different people as we move forward. You know, and I mean, just like we got the different Spider-Man in the different universe. That's why that made sense, right? Well, that's why what Jamie Foxx said made sense. And
but I have a whole theory behind it, man, and just quick snap on it, right? The issue is Kevin Feige built into the system that in case something happens like Chadwick Boseman, God rest that man's soul, but he's got a way to fix it, right? That's why What If was so critical. And I really do believe What If is like going to be a grounding, founding, central point for everything moving forward. Because if somebody quits, if somebody passes unexpectedly, if something happens with contract negotiation, he's got a way to pull something from somewhere else.
Just rewrite the whole story.
Exactly. Genius, man.
Genius. Yeah, definitely, man. So when you got What If, then you turn back around and you got Hawkeye.
Right.
And then after Hawkeye, we got Spider-Man No Way Home.
No, after Hawkeye, before Hawkeye,
before Hawkeye, we got the Eternals.
You got Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi and the Eternals.
Then you got the Eternals, then you got Hawkeye, then you got Spider-Man.
Correct.
Right.
So we got Shang-Chi, which I've watched multiple times, by the way.
Much stuff in Shang-Chi.
It's so much. I mean, I've watched Shang-Chi, like I watched it twice in the movies, and then I've watched it probably 4 times at home. I've watched the Eternals again at least 3 times. And Big G brought something to my mind. The Eternals was viewed how many times already?
They've been viewed more than any Disney Plus show or any Disney Plus movie. Anything that's out on Disney Plus, I'm talking about Star Wars stuff, they are number 1. They've had 2.5 million views since they put it up on Disney Plus. So that's letting me know that, COVID played a big part in what box office sales showed, because there was a lot of people that wanted to go see Eternals, but they was like, well, it ain't Spider-Man, it ain't Captain America. Yeah, we got COVID going on, so I'm going to miss it because, and I'll catch it on Disney Plus, which I do believe that's why they brought it out on Disney Plus so fast. They pulled Eternals up on Disney Plus quick, but it's got a lot, like I said, 2.5 million views.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And we had a listener, LaShonda. LaShonda said that's why we need Marvelous, so that we can understand everything better. Thank you so much, because guess what? I needed it so he could tell me some of this stuff that I was missing. And I'm a Marvel head. He got me.
Yeah.
What is it? The Sons of Midnight?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to crawl down the rabbit hole, because Werewolf by Night, it's a new one. That's a new one for me.
Werewolf by Night is going to blow everybody away, but I'm going to save it too, because there's so much tied into Werewolf. Well, let me just say this. Do you understand and know that after Marvel sold their product in the 60s, right? And like I'm talking about those foundational characters, Captain America, Hulk, Iron Man, they sold their product. In the 70s, the first character that they kicked off was Werewolf by Night. Werewolf by Night had his own comic book run, like Iron Fist, like Shang-Chi. He had his own, and I'm talking about critical characters in the MCU was introduced in Werewolf by Night. One of the guys we're talking about, Moon Knight. Moon Knight showed up in issue number 32 of Werewolf by Midnight. That was his first showing in the comic book.
I actually did see that. Right. I actually did see that for real. And, honestly, when I sit down and I think about it, man, I mean, it's just a lot, man. It's a lot there. But so we were talking about how many times that the Eternals got viewed. That's miraculous, man. I mean, when you start thinking about that type of number, just sheer number. But I mean, honestly, I think that's why I said you're not missing out on movie money that much when you have the ability to put it on your streaming service and your streaming platform only.
Right.
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 You know, people are going back and watching, like I said, we're going back and watching Shang-Chi. We're watching the Eternals. You know what I mean? We're going back and watching these movies, you know, 3, 4. I even went back and watched Black Widow again. Right.
Yeah. There was some stuff in Black Widow.
There was some stuff in Black Widow, you know, and honestly, it's one of those things where now I'm like, okay, I have to string this back together because I'm losing a little bit of it, and I don't want to lose it. You know, I want to make sure that we can just continue to intertwine everything as we move. And I think I'm probably going to go back and watch WandaVision before the playoffs start this weekend, definitely, so I can check that out. Because there's some things that I need to have back in my memory. Because I know that Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is really going to hit on that. And briefly, let's talk about this. We have some characters that will appear. We got rumors, and hey, these rumor mills they seem to be kind of right, because a lot of the same people who quoted a lot of the Spider-Man talk are the ones that are letting these things go. You know, one of those is Patrick Stewart in the Multiverse of Madness, Hugh Jackman in the Multiverse of Madness, reprising their roles as Professor X and Wolverine. Definitely, that'd be something to behold. That'd be something to take in and something to really catch. But there's a character in there that's already been seen in the trailer. I need you to tell us a little bit about this character, G. The character is America.
Yeah, America Chavez.
Correct.
America Chavez. Right.
She's standing behind Doctor Strange and Wanda when the little safe-looking door opens. What is her power, Sean? Why is she even there?
Well, first of all, she's actually in the trailer before that. If you're a trailer head like I am, you got to go back and watch the trailer in like 1.5 slow motion and watch it, right? And blow it up, right? So there's a port in the trailer where you see America Chavez going through different universes and a star portal opens up. America Chavez is one of let me back up and say this first. America Chavez is a Nexus being. Where have we heard Nexus being before? Where have we been introduced to Nexus being? Oh, WandaVision. Oh, they said Wanda Maximoff is a Nexus being, right? So also America Chavez deals with magic, sorcery, but she also deals some in technology. Her father was a huge technology person in a different dimension, and an experiment and an accident that happened to the mother of America Chavez is how America Chavez ended up getting her powers, right? So she's not a mutant, but they might spin it that way in the MCU. However, America Chavez is one of 14 characters in the Marvel comic book universe that has the ability to walk in and out of any dimension that she wants to. So she can come in and out or walk through or in and out of any dimension. So can you imagine how powerful she is? And then can you also imagine, I just want you to think about this, who would want her powers? Who would want to think about who we currently have introduced in the MCU and who would want her power, right? So I'm telling you, I'm not going to ruin it. I'm just going to let you know. She is the whole point or reason for the movie. It's not about it's about Wanda Maximoff. It's about Stephen Strange. It's about some other characters or roles we're going to see. But when I'm telling you America Chavez is huge, she's huge. She's also the leader of the crew that we know we're getting set up. That's called the Young Avengers. Just FYI for y'all to know. You know, she's the leader of the crew.
Yeah, all this time I thought Patriot was the leader of the Young Avengers.
No, it's America Chavez. Yes.
Wow. Okay, so there was also a new casting that Marvel had put out there. Tell us about that new casting, Big G.
All right, so this is not 100% official. It's not 100% from Marvel where they said it, right? But everything that's tied to Marvel, all casting calls and everything is already dropped to all the different shows and all the different people that watch Marvel and do like we do, right? So we know that they've already cast John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, right? So
I think it's a good one. I think that's a good look.
But
I like
the
it.
deal. It's a package deal. Because if you get him,
you think you got to take his wife?
You're going to get Emily Blunt is coming as the Invisible Woman. It's a package deal. You can't get one without the other one, man. It's a done deal. We had heard rumors. Well, we had official things dropped from Marvel that said that they were actually going through the process of casting characters for the Fantastic Four, and they started pre-production stuff. So we know that this movie might not come out to the end of 2023 going into 2024, right? So for them to be that far ahead on this, that means that they got some big stuff coming. But you got to think that they already – go ahead.
If you don't know who Emily Blunt is, if you watch movies like what is the movie was just in my head where they couldn't talk. What is that?
You got me, bro. You a movie head more than me. I locked in on the Marvel and the rabbit hole.
It's where they couldn't talk and they were running around. They couldn't talk. They couldn't say anything. You had to be silent because if you made noise, the enemies would hear you and then come and get you. But that's his wife, Emily Blunt. That's his wife. So and she's a pretty definitely a big star in Hollywood. Think of the movie
when you actually look at them, the pictures of them, they look just like all they got to do is add a little bit of gray right here to his hair, and Emily Blunt already looks like the Invisible Woman, right? The thought process was, are they young enough actors? Because, ladies and gentlemen, I'm breaking it here first. You heard it on Marvelous Talk first. The Fantastic Four will be a trilogy. I guarantee you. You can count it. You can bank on it that the Fantastic Four will have 3 movies. There will be 3 Fantastic Four movies.
Hey, one of our listeners, Kimberly Cooper, she said Quiet Place. That was the movie I was looking for.
Yeah.
Quiet Place. That was his wife. She played in there and definitely did her thing. She's a great actor. Great actor. So I'm going to tell you.
Thank you, Kimberly, because I didn't know. Learn something new. That's why we need viewers, because y'all know more than we know.
We need our viewers. We need our viewers. And definitely you can comment on YouTube and you can comment on Facebook, and we'll get those comments and we'll put them into our show as well. Because I know other listeners who are going to rewatch this want to know the same information. So we got John in casting in the Fantastic Four. The thing I think about this, and we spoke about it, right? Secret Wars.
Right.
I don't just believe Secret Wars is the end of. I really believe we're going to get the Illuminati. I know it. I know it in my heart. The reason why you have to have Professor X is because you're doing the Illuminati. The reason why you have to have Namor is because we're doing. It's a way to bring back Tony Stark. It's just a way to revamp and bring him back. Even though we're getting Iron Wars sometime soon. Aren't we supposed to get Iron Wars this year, next year? Which one?
2023 Iron Wars.
Okay, Iron Wars. Yeah. So, what do you think about that, G? What do you think about the Illuminati?
All right. Part of the conspiracy theory of spending time in the rabbit hole, right? I believe. Matter of fact, I'm about 95% sure the Illuminati will show up in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. I'm about 95% sure. Now, you might not see Namor. I think it'll be a different rendition. I think you're going to get Professor Xavier. I think you're going to get Doctor Strange. I think Monica Rambeau or Monica Rambeau's mother is going to be a member. I think you're going to get Reed Richards. I think you're going to get a different rendition of Anthony Stark. And I think you possibly could get Black Bolt. I think you'll get those 6 members. And you'll have a reference point for T'Challa. And you'll have a reference point for the Submariner. But because that's the multiverse, you have to have the Illuminati covering what goes on in the MCU. Because what a lot of folks don't know is they sort of fight. That's Kang's enemies. Kang's enemies are the Illuminati, right? They know. Case in point, let's go back. Let's just ask you a quick question. Why in the world would Doctor Strange tell Tony Stark there's only one way? He's controlling something, right? Now, we thought, or at least me and Maude talked about it off screen, and we talked about it on screen a little bit too, that it was possibly Kang pushing the buttons. I don't believe it was Kang pushing the buttons. I believe that they've had different encounters with different things from different universes, and they knew that there was only one way, right? And that's Illuminati. So I think it's going to be a broader paint stroke than the Illuminates lockdown in the MCU universe, which they call it 911111111. That's what they call the MCU universe. I think it's going to be a broader paint stroke than what we saw in the comic books, which is 616, right? The rendition that most people watch or read.
Right. And it's once again, it's a way to rewrite the story.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way to rewrite the story. But like I said,
Maude, your big bad movie you're looking for the Illuminati, you heard it here first on Marvelous Talk. World War Hulk. War Hulk is going to be the big bad movie for the Illuminati.
Absolutely. I totally believe it.
It's coming.
I totally believe it. Is the Eternals good, and what is it about? What's up, Tate, man? How you doing? The Eternals is really good. Like, so, I mean, just to kind of set a premise on the Eternals, the Eternals were sent here to rid the earth of the deviants, not the deviants, right?
Correct.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So they were sent here to rid the earth of the deviants. Once that happened, they outstayed their welcome, quote unquote, not realizing what was going to happen at the end. Watch it. It is a on time kind of thing. I think, like I said, they're laying the groundwork for us to see Galactus. I mean, when you see something space-like, something that big standing up in space, and people everywhere see it, and then all of a sudden they're out there and they're in the middle. Yeah, no, that's Galactus all the way. You know, I mean, definitely if you've seen the comic books, you see Galactus big old head in Earth and looking at Earth and you know, talking crazy and talking cash to the Fantastic Four. And definitely, like I said, this was the groundwork for that. But yeah, the Eternals was good. It was a really good movie.
Let me ask you this, Maude. Did you pick up on this in the Eternals? The Deviants and the Eternals came from the same thing. That's what they said based on the MCU, right?
Yeah.
But how come the Deviants could absorb an Eternal and evolve? What is that telling you? Anytime you get to talking about evolution, what are you talking about?
So here's what I found interesting about that. I'm glad you asked me about that, because that was really a great question. I was one of the things that I was sitting up saying, well, wait a minute. Why can't it be the other way around, right?
Right.
The deviants were first, right? The reason why I say the deviants were first is that, you know, Thanos was Thanos' father, Eros, and his mother, I forget her name.
Yeah.
You asked, because they said the Eternals couldn't have kids, right?
Right.
Well, they created these kids out of, when it's the same thing with the Unimind. When they're joined together, they have a lot of power flowing through them, right? A lot of cosmic energy.
Right.
So they created these kids. They were the first kids born from an Eternal.
And
which
on
was
Titan, Thanos and Eros.
Thanos and his brother. First two born, right? But Thanos was a deviant, and he was born first.
No, he was an Eternal born with a deviant gene.
Eternal born with a deviant gene.
Correct.
But he was a deviant. He was born first.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Born first. So I think
and you saw Eros at the end of Eternals.
Right. You did see him in the
little scene. For the Unimind. He had one already. He was playing with one.
He was just playing. Woo, woo, woo.
Yeah.
You know? But look, here's the deal. Here's the deal when we think about this. And this is what I was about to say. And this was my thought process on that. A deviant can flip to just a regular Eternal, but Eternal can't flip to a deviant.
Correct.
It just won't happen.
Correct.
Right? So one can evolve into the other, but the other one can't evolve. So even though I think, so to answer your question, this is how I would see it. The deviant gene has room for improvement while the Eternal gene doesn't.
Correct.
That was just my thought process.
But anytime you introduce, because you got to remember the deviants was on the earth first. They was down there wiping humanity out, right?
Hauling them out.
So deviants can not only suck up eternal stuff, I bet you they can suck up human stuff too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So if a deviant and a human crossed paths and did something like that, right? Wouldn't that create a deviant gene inside of humanity? And that means a deviant gene can evolve. And if a deviant gene can evolve, that means that powers can be sitting dormant inside human beings that need something to make it go. Right? So if it needs something, which we had snaps and we had everybody come back. So something makes it go.
What he's saying, you guys, is the X gene. That's what he's saying. He said the X gene. That's what he's saying. I get it. I get it. It tracks. It definitely tracks. That's something that definitely tracks. And I like the way you're thinking there. We can tell that Big G has spent some serious time inside of the rabbit hole. He done been down in the rabbit hole.
I live there
where the air is dense.
I go to work. I come back and deal with the wife and the kids. Next station, rabbit hole.
Hey man, I'm gonna tell you, once you climb down that rabbit hole, getting back out is a whole other thing. If you don't have a jetpack, hey, just a regular rope, you ain't gonna get it. You fall down too deep. You got to have a jetpack to get out the rabbit hole. There's something else. I remember I set up the whole night deep diving on Dracula and them. So, and which they're coming. They're coming. Yeah. And they've really set
Sons of Midnight.
Yeah, they set the tone for it. They set the tone. And get this, the Dracula you see in the MCU is nothing like what you're gonna see or what you've seen in like previous movies.
Right.
He's different.
Totally different. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's different. He walk with a different swag, and he's something else. Like for real.
Oh, so check this out, right? You like the Illuminati. I know that's your thing, right? I want you to deep dive when you get an opportunity. Maybe you can come down and visit me in the rabbit hole. And you got to check out who the Cabal is. Because the Cabal is the Illuminati enemies. Just like you had a group of heroes get together and anti-heroes, you got the Cabal, and the Cabal get together. Guess who's a founding member of the Cabal?
Dracula.
MCU's Dracula.
Yeah. Dracula.
Right? So you got to have, if you got the Illuminati, you got to have the enemies.
Yeah.
Who's the Cabal?
Yeah. And so I'm just going to put something else on your mind before we leave. You got to know Deadpool 2, when he was in the mansion and he was in Professor X wheelchair and he was going around and he was like, how come you're the only one that's always here? Well, guess who you saw in that scene, right? There was a couple of them you saw. There's a couple of them you actually saw in that scene, which would make, because Deadpool, we know by Kevin Feige's own admission, is Marvel and canon.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So wouldn't that make the young version of Professor X and everybody you saw, wouldn't that make them in the MCU? So that would be the characters that I'm looking to show up for. I don't think he recast that heavy for, the X-Men. You know what I mean? I think there's going to be some recasting, but I think you're going to get the young Professor X, the young Magneto. You're going to all of those guys that you saw in that one Deadpool scene. You're going to get them all. You're going to get them all. That's just me. You heard it here.
I believe it. I believe it. But I think that the reception of the Fantastic Four is going to set the pace for the reception to the X-Men, right? I think that's why they're doing it first. Because if you really think about it, they're fixing Fox properties in order. Spider-Man was first. We got to fix that, right? Next is the Fantastic Four. We got to fix that. And then finally, we got to fix the X-Men, right? Because the X-Men, there's so much depth and character building in the X-Men. The X-Men ain't just what everybody think, the Wolverine and Beast and all. The X-Men had a founding team that had a second rendition of a team that all got killed by a planet, by a living island, and then a third rendition of the team, and that's when you got Wolverine and Storm, right? So we got a whole history with Professor Xavier starting out with Iceman, Angel, Beast, Cyclops, Jean Grey. First 5 members. So I think that Kevin Feige is going to get close to the comic book as he possibly can to build that team, right? And then you'll get the second rendition. You'll get Mimic. You'll get Havoc. You'll get Polaris. Polaris is Magneto's daughter. Havoc is Scott Summers' brother, which they have a third brother named Vulcan. You know, so that's a whole different. You have to give that to build other space-based stuff, right? Because you got the Kree and the Skrulls, right? But you got to still get Lilandra and the Shi'ar, you know, which is huge because you can't have the Phoenix Saga without Lilandra and the Shi'ar. So you got to have all of them in that. Right. Makes sense, Mod?
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. And I think we're driving down that street and we're on that boulevard. Before we get out of here, man, Tate asks, where is Luke Cage at? I don't know that Luke Cage is a prominent enough character to make it through. I think he may catch a series or two next year. I wouldn't bet on you seeing anything about him in any movie anytime soon. Did we like what we saw?
Luke Cage will probably on 2 different TV shows. I look for Luke Cage to show up in Echo because it's based on Hell's Kitchen, right? And I look for a rendition of Luke Cage to show up and maybe just in word mention in She-Hulk, right?
I don't know if I'm gonna get him in She-Hulk. I definitely know that you got to see him when it comes around Hell's Kitchen. You know what I'm saying? You got to see him, but like I said, I don't think you see a full-blown Luke Cage. You know,
the third character that Jennifer Walters defended as a lawyer was Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Jennifer Walters pushed Heroes in the Hire into existence. Third character she defended was Luke Cage. That's comic book canon.
Like I said, I'm not gonna argue with that one. On you got me on that, G, because you're right. But I just don't see them going down that path though. I don't see it because we already know we're gonna see David. I always say David Banner. We're always gonna see Bruce in She-Hulk. And that's the introduction, kind of introducing what's happening. Mm-hmm. So where they go with that story from there, I don't know, right?
Abomination, Titana, the Wrecking Crew, Matt Murdock, they all gonna be there, live and present, man. Promise you. So you might not get Iron Fist, but you're probably gonna get either a reference point. It might just be a file where she holds up a paper and says, you know, I'm defending this guy next, and it's Luke Cage, right? Yeah. But you're going to get a link or a lock to Luke Cage. Now, it might not be Netflix Luke Cage. We've already seen them carry over 2 different characters from Netflix, right? So they might not be that one, but you're going to see Luke Cage once they go Heroes for Hire. Huge.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we want to thank you guys as always for hanging out with us, man. I mean, we've been gone a bit. You know, definitely if you like the content that you hear, make sure you like and subscribe. You subscribe on YouTube. When we get ready to go live, you will catch us there. We're also on TikTok. You know, there's a lot of things that we're sharing on that TikTok platform, and you can catch us there at Marvelous Talk. Definitely, Sean, is there anything you want to give us, man, before we get out of here?
Of course. So we're here to let you know that with the changes to the format of the show, this Saturday coming, we're going to have a special rendition of Marvelous Talk. And moving forward, we will have 2 shows a week to bring the information that we know to our MCU audience that's out there that's just been waiting to rock with us, right? So moving forward, we're going to have a lot of content, and we might have a couple little special guests pushed up our sleeve that's coming up here in the near future.
Definitely. And I will say this, we actually said not this Saturday, but next week they're going to
next Saturday. Yeah. I got ahead of myself. I'm so excited about it. I got ahead, man. Right.
Yeah. So not this Saturday, but next week you're going to get 2 episodes of Marvelous Talk moving forward. And we're definitely going to hit you over the head. One of them is going to be like a 30-minute session. The other one will be a normal hour-long show. But we're going to hit you over the head with all of the Marvelous news coming, all of the talking about the episodes that you know, we haven't previously got into. I'm looking forward to exploring the multiverse and really getting into it and diving into it before the
Ma,
multiverse
let me ask you a
madness
question,
happens.
man. Before we go, let me ask you a question. What show are you looking for the most? What show are you looking for? I just want to know.
Show wise would be She-Hulk.
I'm with you. That great minds think alike.
Yeah,
that's the one I want to see, man. I want to see She-Hulk.
I want to see She-Hulk. I want to see how they do this.
Yeah.
I hope they do it well, because I'm excited about it. Definitely excited about Jennifer Waltz. And it's not just because we're gonna get the Hulk with her, right? I want to see the story develop. I want to see the storyline develop, because it was always an interesting comic book, right? It was always an interesting comic book to see a female version of the Hulk. You know what I mean? And then just hauling people out. You always want to see that. At least I wanted to see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Definitely. But you guys, man, thank you for hanging out with us. We'll catch you again. Next week, you're gonna catch us here on Thursday, right? And then you're gonna see us again on Saturday mornings. Right. So you're going to get 2 Marvelous Talk shows, and we're definitely going to ramp up our content and the things that we share with you. All right.
Yeah. For all those ones that's our age, you know, Saturday morning is where we got up and we used to watch the cartoons. So, hey, that's why we got a Saturday morning show, because we're going to bring you that marvelous flavor like a Saturday morning cartoon.
And we out.